everybody. Hello from your favorite artist here, Mr. Q12. I was browsing on Facebook and this guy is asking this question. Hello, can you help me? I want to remove the 8 position rotary switch for an integrated circuit with a push button, and every time it is pressed it changes its position. I already answered to this guy. I recommended to him my favorite 4017 decade counter. Others are recommending all sorts of weird answers like use a 3-bit counter. This is binary counter. He is actually exemplified here. This is not agreeing. That is 8 4-bit. This is also recommending binary counter. This one is saying digital. This one is saying decimal to binary. This one is saying to use a PIC12F683, and not really necessary for this project. So this is his circuit, that 8 rotary switch, and I did this already. I made a project with it. So when I searched for all my 4017 movies, I could not find an easy to follow movie. All my 4017 are relatively big projects. This is 45 minutes, is the continuation actually from this one. Number 285, this is the next one, 86. And this one was 1 hour already. And this one is also 51 minutes. Number 14 is from a mini series, is from another project, left-right signal for stepper, using 2 4017 decade counter IC. This is relatively easy to follow. And it's very short, of course, but it's a bit more complicated to follow. Each of them probably, either by the time, either by the content, because it is part of a project. So I decided to make a movie about this subject, a very short and to the point movie where I'm explaining the basics of 4017 counter. Very easy to follow. Here is my folder with all my ICs, as you can see here on the top, drive D, Electronica, and my ICs. And here I'm having a folder called Basic Circuits in Proteus. I have a bunch of ICs in my arsenal of integrated circuits. Also these ones that you can see from this series, and these ones as well. So I have a bunch of them, and between them I have this 4017. This is one of my favorite, very easy to use, very straightforward. Once you get the hang of it, once you use it once and you understand it, after that it will remain with you forever. What I don't like about it is the pin number. This is output 0, pin 3, pin 2 is output 1, output 2, where the fuck are you? Here is pin 4, and pin output 3 here on pin 7, and so on. So it's a bit hard to work with its pins, but making abstraction of this very annoying problem, very annoying for me, from my point of view, the pin numbering, you have to pay a bit more attention, unnecessary attention. They could have actually built it with orderly pins numbers. They have only 3 here on this side, and here on this side they could actually start with output 1, 2, 3, 4 by the pins, and then here on the other end to actually number the last 3 and have an orderly output. It will be so nice to have that functionality in such a classic chip. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Me personally, I like it. It's very simple, very to the point, and it's doing the job perfectly, and it's very good. I cannot praise it enough. I like it. All right, so let's see how it's actually working and what is actually doing in this folder, like I mentioned already, this Basic Circuits in Proteus. So we are going here. So what I'm having here, let's start with the very, very basic one. When I'm pressing some buttons here on the left and something is doing on the right, you have to pay attention to this squares here on top of these pins and see what the hell is going on when I'm pressing these buttons here. So as you can see, this enable pin is set to 0. It means 0 volts or 0 state, low level. And master reset is set to also to 0 level or 0 volts. And this clock is set as 0, but when I'm clocking it, when I'm pressing it, this is actually a button, but this is a push-pull with this sign here and here. This is a push-pull. And so I have 2 types of buttons, what I'm having here. A latching, this is a latching button, and this is a push-pull button, okay? So let me reset it here. So this is what I'm having here on this side. Also, I'm putting a table here, what this pins means, the notations. E, it means enable. MR, it means master reset, set as low, all of them set as low, pretty much linked to negative rail. And QO, it means carry output, which is this one here. So when I'm clocking this pin, this clock pin, this pin 14, when I'm clocking it, you will see here on the right, it's changing position from output 0, Q0 to Q1, to output 1. And now when I'm clocking it again, it's counting to the next one, to the next, to the next, to the next. And here is number 9. Actually, this is 10 because it's starting from 0. So if you are counting from 0, 9 is the 10. And now it will want to clock to the 10, to Q10, to the next output that is 10, but it doesn't have anything, so it will reset to Q0. And you see, from 9 is jumping to Q0 and it's starting again everything. If you reach at this stage, at pin 4, let's say, and you want to get back to pin 0, you just reset it. You click this master reset, set it high and low very quickly, like that, like a push-pull button, like I'm having hit here, and it's resetting to 0, and that's it. And you count how many times you want. Let's set it to output 7 and reset it, and that's it. What I'm having here is basic and manual functionality with manual reset, manual clocking, and manual enable. So now if I'm clocking from here, you see I reach this output on pin 4. I'm disabling the chip pretty much by putting the enable pin to high. If I'm doing this, no matter how much I'm clocking from it, it will remain there freezed on that point. This might be interpreted as an error if you are not paying attention, and if you have some problematic circuits that is linked to this pin. Let's say if I'm resetting is actually not freezed. When I'm resetting is jumping from whatever the pin it was to the 0, but when I'm clocking it still remain freezed. So the reset is overriding this enable. So it's actually resetting. It would have been interesting to see this reset not overriding this, but doesn't matter. So this is the manual and basic form. Now a little bit of automation. The master reset pin, I link it to output 3. So I have only output 0, output 1, and output 2. It means 3 outputs, these 3 pins that will circle. And it will reset when it will want to jump to this pin. It will see it's a 0, and it will jump to this first one and then repeat. So now it will count only those 3. If I want to count to 4 or to 5, let's count to 5. I have to close the simulation, delete this line, and link it again. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here. Okay. So it will count 5 times. And let's see. 1, 2. It was already on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's back on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back on 1. And so on and so forth. Usually you don't link anything to this master reset pin and this enable pin. You don't play with them. You don't link any kind of external circuitry to these two. They are important only for this chip. This is called the settings pins of this chip. So you have to learn its setting pins. Every chip in this world is having a couple of setting pins. Even the clock pin is also a setting pin. So you have to know this pin number represents the clock pin, so it's part of the settings. So this side, this left is the settings, and this right side of the chip is the output side. Also this CO is also part of the settings. So it's having 4 pins for settings, and you have to learn how to use them. And this is what I'm showing you actually right now in this little tutorial about 4017 basics. This is how to use every pin from this chip. So now we will use a little bit more automated circuitry or settings, including this CO or carry out pin. And here I automated a little bit more by adding this digital clock or pulse generator at a frequency of 10 Hertz. Why 10 Hertz? Because I want to see, it's a very low frequency, and I want to see when is switching between the pins and what is actually doing. And when I'm playing, you can see is numbering is counting to this point here, and then is setting this pin carry out. This other chip is counting slower, or better said, 10 times slower than this one. Like in a clock, you have the minutes and seconds. So these are the seconds, 10 seconds, and this is the minutes, 10 minutes from a clock. You know, it's like you are doing a decimal clock with 10 minutes and 10 seconds. So this is what this circuit is doing. It's counting 10 seconds, and when it's reaching the 10th of the second, is resetting, getting back to 0 there, but is also incrementing by 1 the minutes, 1 minute further. And when this is reaching its last here, is resetting back to 0 there. And that's all the functionality that is doing. And this is the settings that you have to use, how to link everything. As you can see, enable and master reset from this one to 0 to ground. And also this one, enable and master reset to 0. If you want to count to a certain timing here, or this one as well, you don't link it to negative rail to ground, this master reset. You link this somewhere there. Let me actually show you. So I will cut that line and this line as well. I will delete this node and this node. 1, 2, 3, 4. It will count to 4, and this one I will make it count to 8. So, seriously? Oh shit! It's not doing it. From what I understand, this carry out is holding high from 0 to 5, and at 5 is changing, and then it's holding low from 5 to 9. So that's how I'm seeing it is doing this carry out. It's like a very slow clock on this pin, very, very slow. It's counting like a 1 and 0, and when it's reaching this point, it's resetting to 1 again. So it's 0, 1, 0, 1 is pretty much, but from 5 to 5 pins is doing it. It's like that. It's a very, very slow clocking mechanism, this carry out. It's exactly like this clock pin, but it's a bit more slower. I believe you can actually link this master reset immediately after 5. So here on pin 6, or directly on pin 5, I'm not sure exactly. Let's see. On pins, on output 6. On output 6 here, let's see now. When it's reaching pin 5, it's changing. Yeah, you see, it's actually incrementing right now. So you need, let's see if I can link it directly to pin 5 when the change is happening. Yes, it is doing. So when it's reaching pin 5 is actually, as you can see, it's counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but the reset is here. So it's still counting, as you can see. Why? Because it's actually counting here on this output, is seeing it as reset, or the mechanism is actioned. This resetting here on Q5 from this carry out is actually performed, the mechanism inside, and then is reset back to 0. And as you can see, carry out it apparently is showing that is on all the time, is positive all the time. It's actually going to 0 when it's reaching this output 5, is going to 0, but then immediately, instantaneously, is switched to output 0. So it's a very fast switching, extremely fast switching from high to low and from low to high back again very, very quickly. So it appears like it's always high here, but in reality it is having that intermittent, very fast low state when it's reaching this pin. This part is a little bit more advanced, but it's interesting for you to see these little details and to understand them. All right, and this is how you make this. Let me actually undo back everything I did in this file, including these pins here, to count only to 3, because this is the default save file that I'm having. Here I'm having a bit more complicated circuit. This is what I'm doing here is counting actually to 33 outputs. Why 33 and not 40? Because as you remember, this is having 10 outputs. This is from Texas Instruments datasheet. I actually copied from there, and this is their logic. It's not my logic at all. I didn't connect this first and last. Why? Because when this is reaching this Q8 output, it will switch to this one and then reset to this one. But you need to give the impression that is a continuous counting, that is jumping from this output to this output, and nothing is remaining stuck or freezed on your counter. Yeah, you see, when it's reaching this point here on the maximum, when it's finishing counting here, all these pins, the first pins of this extra chips, they are resetting to Q0, all of them. When it's finishing counting 1, is freezing on the last output. And here as well, you see, it's resetting there. When it's finishing counting, is remaining there until the last reset is performed, and is waiting for the last reset, pretty much. So to give the impression that this is actually continuous, exactly a LED chaser or a light chaser, you know, I had to cut them out from the circuit. This first output and this last output. And here, this 9888, it means the numbers of outputs that are used. Here I'm using 9 outputs from its 10 outputs that is having in total, and here only 8 because first and the last is not used. If you are counting this 9 plus 8, you get 17, and then you get plus other 8, you get 25, and plus other 8, you get 33. So this is stopping when it's starting from, this circuit when it's starting from 0, is reaching this last bit, this last output, and it is stopping. So I've made a circuit that is counting, and actually I put a counter there that is showing 31 because it's starting with 0. That's why it's showing 31. It should have 33. It's probably not counting the last one. I don't know, but you have to play with it, figure it out by yourself what everything is doing. Usually this Proteus program is having a very big problem with NPN transistors and PNP transistors. The default ones, they are good to a point, but if you want to do some complicated automation, well, I'm avoiding them because they are making a lot of problems. They are not working. Also, I leave a note here, no need for this last gate because it's not outputting anything. By leaving that last gate, I'm suggesting that you can add more chips in continuation. You don't have to resume only to these 4 chips or this ones here. You can actually make it as long as you want. I believe in Texas Instruments, they are giving an example with only 3, and I made it 4 as you are seeing it here. And I could have make it even longer, whatever long I wanted. So yeah, this is what this circuit is doing. When I'm resetting from here, it's starting from 0, is counting from all these chips, and when it's reaching that point, the last point is actually stopping, is activating that PNP that is doing something. So that's it for this part. And what is this? This is another form, this is another setting. This is a trick actually you can use, and you don't have to use that master reset like you are seeing here, like I showed you, that you can link from this pin to whatever you want there to reset at a certain counting. If you want to this first one to count to a certain number and then increment this chip, you can use this trick here. So you can clock. So when this will reach, it will count 3 times, and when it will reach this point, it will reset to 0 for this chip, but it will also increment 1 time this other chip. So this will count to 3 here, and this will count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to 6. So now when it's reaching this, I need probably this one as well to this, maybe. Let's see. Yep, yeah, this is doing it. It's doing it. So this is the formula. Let me delete this and this. So this is the formula to count a number of times here on this chip, a custom number of times, not to leave it to count 10 always, and this one, other one, to count to whatever number of pins you want from it. So custom counting for either chip you want to count. And this one, it will reach Q6, it will actually reset to Q0. And that's it. Back, you see? So this is only counting to 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the time, and is resetting when it's trying to reach 4. The output 3 is resetting to output 0, and is only stuck or freezed or set up to count 3 times. And this is set up to count only this 6 times that I just set it up. But if you want other various way of doing it, you can do it. Let me actually window back everything. And this is what this circuit is doing here. This chip here is resetting, so it's counting 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and when it's reaching 4, it's resetting to 0. Now, when it's counting 1, 2, it's incrementing this one. And when it's reaching number 3, is incrementing this one. When is reaching this part is resetting itself and then is activating this first pin. So practically it is counting to 3 when it's reaching to 0 here and is incrementing this last one by 1. So this is what all this is doing. Let's play it, and it is a manual stepping to actually see what the hell is going on. So this is a bit more advanced. So now it is here on this first, this is how it's initializing on output 0, all of them, as you're paying attention, output 0 is always initialized. So when I'm clocking once, is reaching output 1, and it incremented already this guy here. And this are remaining by the default on 0. And now when I'm clocking again, it reached this pin, and it incremented that one. This one remained. This one just incremented. And when I'm incrementing again, when I'm clocking again, it will reach this pin here, this output 3, but you will not see it. It will actually reset to 1, to output 0, and it will increment this one with 1, and all these 3 chips will have this output 1 or Q1 activated. So they will have the second pin on red. So now, back, you see, so this second one is high. So now the cycle begins again. When I'm incrementing this one, this will jump another one to output 2 or pin 4. Next this one, next this one. So next this is one, and next this is the one. So 4 4 4 or output 2 output 2 output 2, and so on and so on. This was a test how to clock using the outputs, how to clock other chips from the outputs of this. It's a very clever way of clocking from directly from the outputs. So this is a bit more advanced, but it's a very interesting and very good to know detail about this chip. I hope this will be a comprehensive lesson and tutorial about 4017. This is the best I could make it. And if you know other circuits or other tricks that I can use with 4017 and I didn't show it here, do write me a text, write me a comment there, and I will look into it. All right, this is it. Thank you very, very much for your patience. If you like it and if you learn something new about this chip, chip that I like it, like I mentioned in the very beginning of this movie, I like it very much. This is one of my favorite chips, integrated circuits, and if you like it, please leave a like, leave a comment, and see you next time. All right, that's it. Bye-bye from your favorite artist electronist, Mr. Q12. Bye-bye.